Okay, I read Hunter x Hunter chapter 404, and I might need your guys' help with this one because there are a few things that I don't feel like I'm picking up correctly, but let's just try to go in order and talk about the mountains of activity that is happening in this chapter, starting with Kurapika visiting Zhang Li and trying to figure out more information about these coins that keep spitting out that he gives to people that accumulate in value every 10 days and continuously go up, but nothing has really happened with them yet. And it's all in preparation for the future. At least that's what it seems to be, and that's what Kurapika is theorizing. He's theorizing that this is sort of building up a particular amount of aura that will go into effect presumably after Zhang Li becomes king, after the succession war is over. So it's actually something that is meant to take a lot of time to build up. And we know that abilities like this, or when we've seen people use Nen that have this sort of like accumulation effect, it's actually maybe potentially similar to Morena's ability, how she gifts out somebody's awakening of their ability to use aura, and then the more people that they kill, they accumulate, and then they can eventually have their own Nen abilities, and it just keeps accumulating and accumulating and accumulating, and basically, spreading like this virus throughout the lower tiers of the ship, which is happening right now. So if Zhang Li gifts out all these coins, the aura continues to get more powerful, the value in the coin goes up and up and up, and then at some point in the future, once it reaches this impossible number, once it reaches the unimaginable number is what it's called. So once it continues to reach that point where it just becomes ridiculous, some kind of manipulation activation is in effect that could potentially gift Nen abilities to people, or at least their proficiency of them, or awakening their ability to even be able to use it. Or if somebody has the coin that is not loyal to Zhang Li, it could mean something very, very bad is going to happen to them. Maybe just getting rid of them in some way, or cutting, putting them into a state of Zetsu, or I don't know what it could possibly do. But the idea that at least I'm trying to understand from this is that if you have the coin and it reaches the impossible number and you're loyal to Zhang Li, this is going to be a very good thing for you. If you have the coin and it reaches the impossible number and you're not loyal to Zhang Li, this could be a very bad thing for you. And the thing about it is Kurapika does take the coin. And I love this little exchange because there's like a moment where like he takes it, they test to see what happens. He gives it back to Zhang Li, and then he gives it back to Kurapika again. So it's sort of like this little mind game that's going on where Zhang Li is like, no, you really need to have a coin. It's like, yeah, we have this little alliance right now, but it's sort of like in the back of his mind, I need to make sure Kurapika has a coin so that when this does go into effect, if he's not on my side, then fuck him. At least that's how I understand it and interpret it. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I really, really apologize. These last couple of chapters have been fairly difficult to kind of put it all together and to comprehend. So if I get facts wrong, please correct me down below. I super apologize, but I'm trying my best with them. So the next part that it talks about is this idea of martial law that was talked about in the last chapter. I didn't mention it so much in the last chapter, but it seems to be steadily building towards that point. And with something else that's happening in this chapter, it might be even more relevant as time goes on, where Benjamin has the ability to do this, being the first prince, being in charge of all that. He could enact martial law if there's a solid reason to, or, a reason to kind of rally behind. And that reason could potentially come from assassinations from the mafia groups, and the princes that are associated with the mafia groups are Zhang Li, Serenich, and Lucerus. And so if they believe that there's any ties to those mafia groups that are beginning the assassinations of the princes themselves, then martial law could be enacted, which gives Benjamin, this sort of like complete control, complete power, at least for like the time being. And with things that are happening later in the chapter, that could potentially go into like a disastrous direction, but a good direction if you're a Halkenburg fan. And compounded with that, as we have figured out in the last couple of chapters, currently tonight, in the canon of the story that we're reading, this night, there's going to be an assassination attempt on Lucerus from Kaiser and Melody, which I still think there's something weird about that, because I don't think Melody is the type to kill somebody, so I feel like she might have something else in store. I don't know. Maybe I'm just too hopeful, because it just feels slightly out of character for her. But we'll see what happens with that. So they're supposed to be taking Lucerys and putting him on a boat and sending him out, out of bounds of the Succession War, where he just dies the same way that Cacho died. So if that happens, and they believe that that is tied to the mafia, and then martial law goes into effect with Benjamin in charge, that could be the way to kind of lead us towards that specific development. But here's the part that I really need help with, and this is the Halkenburg stuff. Okay, so first of all, really cool, we get to see a cameo of Leorio. Haven't seen him in forever. He has no dialogue, but hey, he's here, he's doing his doctor stuff. Gotta shout out to my boy Leorio. So nice to see him. And yes, so it was confirmed in this chapter that what we thought happened did happen, where Halkenburg used his arrow and he switched his own consciousness into Balsamilko. But what I don't think has been revealed yet that was revealed in this chapter is a little bit more of how that ability works, where Halkenburg did not decide to specifically send his own consciousness into Balsamilko's body. It seems as though whoever gets switched is random, which is crazy to think about. It could be any of his followers. It's any of Halkenburg's followers, anybody that's loyal to him, anybody that's essentially willing to die for him, gets switched into the body that he, fires the arrow into. But it could also be Halkenburg himself, which is what conveniently happened here. And with this, Halkenburg took this opportunity to stage his own death, used the poison or the virus that Balsamilko had, which I think, did he figure out that? Because when he goes into the body, does he get the knowledge of that body? It seems like he wouldn't, because I feel like that would be way too powerful. But at the same time, he had to have figured out that he had the vials on him. But then also, I guess it was just hidden in his boot. So maybe if he just checked the whole body, like checked all the pockets, checked the boots, maybe he just found it. I don't know. Listen, all that matters is he poisoned himself. His own body is dying, and there's no way to save it, and it's going out. And so now we have this really complex scenario where, okay, how does this work? So Halkenburg fires his consciousness into Balsamilko, okay? And so he is taking over control of that body. But they talk about how both consciousness still exist, but only one can be awake at a time. And then you go further into a scenario. It's like, well, okay, what if the original body dies? Then what happens? And here's the part that I need help with. So from how I understand this, which could be totally wrong, from how I understand this is that Halkenburg's body does die in this chapter. So physically, his physical body, his physical vessel is dead, okay? So I would assume that that means that Halkenburg can no longer return to that body because the body is dead, all right? And Balsamilko will get his body back since that body died that he was inhabiting, but Halkenburg took sleeping pills in Balsamilko's body, which keeps the body docile for at least 10 more hours. So Halkenburg has about 10 hours of existence left, at least if I understand this right. And he's heading towards Benjamin. And Halkenburg says, I have to finish within that time. My next move will be the victor in the succession battle. So my assumption here is that he is going to go to Benjamin and potentially switch bodies with him or put one of his followers into Benjamin's body. Then when martial law can be enacted, it'll actually be Halkenburg that is in charge, and he may be able to get closer to the other princes and literally just like put his followers into their bodies and then kill the followers' bodies. And then eventually the princes' bodies can just be killed because they're willing to die for Halkenburg anyway. So Halkenburg would potentially win the succession war in the body of Benjamin. I don't know. But here's the thing that confuses me is that it is specifically mentioned in this chapter that the switch is random. So when he fires the arrow, he doesn't know if it's going to be one of his followers or if it's going to be himself switching into the body. So how could he make sure that he's going to be in the body of one of the princes? Like, his original body is dead. So he has to do the switch again, and he has 10 hours. He has this night, 10 hours to do it. So I can only imagine that he is going to attempt to put himself into the body of one of the princes. And I can only imagine the only prince that would be worthwhile doing that. I mean, Serenich would, but he doesn't really know what like Serenich is up to at the moment. But, you know, we definitely know what Benjamin is up to. So it would make sense to go into the body of Benjamin. But I just don't know how he accomplishes this if the switch is random. I get that's where my confusion is. But maybe that's not his goal at all. It just seems the most likely with the way that the chapter was written and set up. But I could be completely off base there. But it seems like that's what is prepared to happen here. And I think it's interesting that this is happening the same exact night that Lucerus is going to be attempted to be assassinated. So Benjamin and Lucerus during the same night, two different, completely different events happening simultaneously, are both going to assassinate these princes, right? At the same time, Camilla, there was a line about Camilla sending one of her bodyguards to be trained by Karapika the next day, which that's obviously, you know, a ploy probably to maybe send one of the Untouchables to go kill Wobble or something. So that could be in there as well. But yeah, it shows like Halkenburg's body is dead. So I would assume that he can't return to that body in any way. So he has to make a switch tonight. That's just where I'm at. I just don't know how he makes the switch happen if it's random. That's my question. And then the final panel is showing us the Phantom Troop again, because they are on the lower tiers. And remember that they are going after the Hyali, the Morena's group. So, you know, they're like, let's just kill Morena, give us access to the higher tiers. I believe that was the full reason why. So you have, and it's only these three because the Phantom Troop is also split up on the boat. So it's just Nobunaga, Phaeton, and Finks that are basically like, yeah, we'll take care of Morena. Fuck it. You know, they don't care. I love how nonchalant they are about it too. Like they're just so confident. It's great. I love those characters. But this scene was actually the last time that we saw the Phantom Troop. There was like a scene where there was going to be an announcement on the boat, and we didn't see what the announcement was. And the announcement now is revealed to be telling of the passing of Halkenburg. So basically, what we just watched the last 3 chapters was happening simultaneously as the Phantom Troop were doing their thing in the last couple of chapters, which is really creative and unique. Not the first time Togashi's manipulated time like that in the story, but I like that reveal, you know, because I completely forgot about that announcement. I remember when I first read that chapter like 2 years ago, I was like, what? Okay, I was curious about that cliffhanger. Completely forgot about it until it showed the Phantom Troop here, and I was like, oh shit. So we were just watching 2 events, the Phantom Troop stuff and the Princess stuff, that were happening at the same time, and now they've converged. Now we're leading into a night where there's assassination attempt number 1 on Lucerus, assassination attempt number 2 on Benjamin, maybe not assassination, but body swap, I don't know. And then tomorrow, potential assassination attempt on Wobble. So there's so much stuff going on all at the same time, and it's all converging, and we're getting closer. You know, like each little step gets us closer and closer to more storylines converging, and I like that idea. And if this martial law goes into effect, and if they start focusing on the mafia or blaming the mafia, that's going to bring more awareness to that, which is going to bring more awareness maybe to Serenich finally be like, yo, hey, like, you got to do something about this. This is all happening, which could bring awareness of the Phantom Troop to Serenich, which could bring awareness to Karapika about the Phantom Troop. So, yeah. And Hisoka's somewhere. I don't know. So this is crazy. I wish I was smarter so I could, like, put it together more in my brain. I'm trying my best. But I am super stoked to see where this goes. And this is going to be a crazy night on board the ship, man. And I don't know where it's going to go. Beyond Netero is still there, too. And he's like, bring me someone to talk to. We don't know who that is. Yeah, shit's going nuts, man. So let me know what you thought about this chapter. If you read it, down below, leave all your thoughts, theories, opinions. Also, please clear up my confusion, because I am just trying to figure out what's going to happen to Halkenburg's consciousness, you know, now that he's in a different body and his body is dead. And if he doesn't, you know what I've already explained it. Just if anybody figured that out, I'm probably being really stupid here, so I apologize. But yeah, just let me know what's going on with that. Other than that, guys, thanks for watching this video. Please give it a thumbs up and a comment. Appreciate it, you guys. And if you want to support the channel on a deeper level, I do have Patreon, channel memberships, merch store, all that stuff linked down below. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you next time.